Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is Vash Sky, and welcome to these illustrious ceremonies. I'm going to be your host today, and, I want to go ahead and welcome every single Skylander and Sky Watcher here, because, boy, oh boy, do we have an amazing breadth of theme park-related news right here, going over all kinds of stuff, actually all over the world, interestingly enough. We had a partial train derailment involving a coaster right there. We have a new coaster coming up in New Jersey, which is very, very interesting. And we have certainly updates going on at Disneyland. And not the kind of updates that I like to talk about all that much because, things just haven't been going very well, especially on the water-related front, which is very, very interesting. I didn't quite know that I'd ever be talking about that in such a way, but c'est la vie. Apparently that's what is going on right here. We're going to go ahead and try to include Orlando stories as well, because obviously we know that it's a big deal. The Orlando market right there. I know you guys love talking about some stuff actually going on there as well. Let me see if I can go ahead and activate this. Yes. Let's see how we actually look right here. Okay, looks pretty good. And we do have so many of you actually joining us right now. Let's see who we have here. I do apologize, guys. Usually I have this up before, but I wasn't able to do that today. Let me see if I can go ahead and get you guys up. Here we go. We've got Juliet coming on in here with the 2 British pounds sterling. Thank you so much. Evening Vash Sky liners and Sky Watchers. Do appreciate that. Thank you so much, Juliet. You are awesome, fantastic every single time you come on in here and you give us a little bit of that British pound sterling. Thank you so much. And beyond that, your botting duties are excellent. Thank you so much. And we have Just a Dutchie coming on in here. Boy, oh boy, look at this. Right here with the gifting of 5 ParkCast memberships right there. So 5 of you out there will now be Sky Watchers yourself, which is very, very cool. Let me see right here. What is going on here? Okay, there, and there. Okay, there we go. Is that working right there? Let me see. I'm trying to get you guys here, the chat, actually, from Vash Sky ParkCast up so I can actually see who was gifted a membership. Please let me go ahead and bring you guys up right here. There we go. Let's see. Yes. Tick, 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 tick. Boom! Right there. Got a Just a Dutchie Vash Sky ParkCast membership. Thank you so much. I'm just me. Richie Boy 50, Fernley, we'll go with that, and Remy D with that Sky Watcher membership right there. That is fantastic. And if you guys don't know, Just Dutchie has now, granted you the key, let's say, to the Vash and Vixen program that takes place every single 3 p.m. On Saturday for our viewers, for our Sky Watchers in particular right there. So it's a fantastic show. I really do love it. I really do love crafting that whole thing and getting all those visuals for you and going through the history of some of our favorite rides, shows, attractions, experiences, lands, whatever, theme parks themselves. It's so cool. And I really do enjoy it. But if you want to go ahead and be a part of that, you got to be a Sky Watcher. And Just Dutchie just helped you out right there for, I think it's like, $3? You get a 1 to 2 hour show right there every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much, Just Dutchie, for doing that. And by the way, with that, guys, we also do have a Pet of the Week that goes along with that. If you want to go ahead and have your pet featured, you can go ahead and do so at Vixen Sky, actually, at 007@gmail.com. VixenSky777@gmail.com is going to be the place where you want to go ahead and send us your pets. Come on in here, maybe a picture of you and your pet. That would be great. A story with that. That would be very, very cool. Do love that. Do love featuring those as part of Vash and Vixen every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern for you lucky Sky Watchers out there. Very, very cool indeed. Thank you so much, Dutchie, for that. we have so many different individuals here in the chat right now. We've got Kit Kat coming on in here, O2RR, Vixen Sky herself coming on in here. Again, Just a Dutchie has joined us, which is phenomenal. Rudio has joined us. I want to go ahead and give Rudio a big thanks because he was able to let me know about our lead story today, talking about no water being at Disneyland. He actually informed me last night during the theme parking show. That's a show that we hold every single week with OG55 and Jared from Capture the Magic. Awesome stuff right there. And I guess we can go ahead and get on. But I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was happening, guys. The idea that something like 100,000 people might be impacted with no water in a park that, well, everybody is looking to go to the bathroom or maybe get a drink at a drinking fountain or even a restaurant reservation. We'll talk about why that's important in a moment. Is just absolutely outrageous right there. We have Hamilton Cox on in here as well. That's very, very cool. Oh, I clicked on your YouTube video and I heard your music. Nope. Ah, well, that's a shame right there. You're going to hear some more music, though. I can tell you that much right now because we've got to talk about a certain Prince of Darkness today. So Hamilton Cox, didn't like that? Well, I do apologize there. But hey, you know what? Hopefully you stay for the content itself because I think it's quite good. One Punch Man token fan, I do like that. Hail Vash, well, hail you, good sir. I very much appreciate that. Awesome stuff right there. Troy Goveston. Nowadays they just go on go in the ride lines. Yeah. Well, you know, that was the big controversy actually surrounding the opening of Shanghai Disneyland. Apparently, you had some people, well, when it came to theme park culture, they do it a little bit different, or at least they did back in the day when Shanghai Disneyland opened in 2016. Very interesting stuff indeed. But we want to go ahead and hear a little bit more from you before getting to our first story. So let me go ahead and see if we can actually get on our producer, Disneyfan55, on in this and see whether or not this is all working. Hopefully it is. Disneyfan55, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Everything seems to be working fine.
Good. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. It's one of the reasons why things were a little bit sideways here coming on because, well, we wanted to go ahead and make sure that we can actually put on the best show for you, and part of that is ensuring that everything works on the producer end as well right there. Who do we have out there? Who do we want to highlight before getting to our first story?
Well, one of them, let's see here. Just one moment and just let... Kit Kat, thank you so much for coming on. So she says, or they say, the Saturday show with Vash and Vixen was a fantastic show. I highly recommend watching it. I loved it. It was great.
I do agree. I think it was absolutely phenomenal right there. I really do love the Vash and Vixen programs, and one of the reasons why I do love them so much is because we're able to go through the history of some of these attractions. We're able to go through the history of some of these places that we love so dearly and that we walk next to for, years and years and years, and never really appreciate them to the fullest. So now with Vash and Vixen, we actually can, and so this last week, we went over New Orleans Square because, well, that famous area of Disneyland celebrated its 60th anniversary on July 24th. So that was pretty cool to go through the history of that, go through the incarnations of the various shops and restaurants that have graced New Orleans Square over those past 60 years. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty phenomenal right there. And Kit Kat got a real kick out of it. So that's absolutely very, very cool. Thank you so much for that. I know Freedom Seeker, I think he was in there as well. So that's cool, and I think he's there with us today. Anybody else we want to go ahead and highlight before going on to our first story?
Actually, Freedom Seeker was kind of answering to Just a Dutchie. Says, actually, Disneyland's maintenance is normally pretty good compared to Disney World.
Yeah, I thought so, especially when I visited Disney World for the first time in, what was that, 2002, I do believe, back in the day right there. And upon going to places like the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Disney's Hollywood Studios, I think it was Disney MGM Studios actually back then, and then Disney's Animal Kingdom. I kind of felt it was like, yeah, this place is big, it's wide, it's awesome, but the finer details, right? The like the interiors of attractions and some of the, some of the show wasn't maintained as lovingly as maybe what we experienced in Disneyland. And certainly around that time, Disneyland was actually having a rebirth of its own, setting up for the 50th anniversary. So it was a little odd. And I think that experience was consistent with our 2023 visit. Disney fan, did you feel that way when visiting Walt Disney World?
Yes. To me, Walt Disney World just seems just very dated. I mean, we went in like around 2001, 2002. And at that point, I was like, wow, this looks really old. It just seemed really dated. And then we went 30 years ago and it was just the same. It was the same. And I'm not a big fan of like the red cement everywhere versus brickwork that Disneyland has. It just, yeah, it just seems like they take more pride in Disney. And it's funny because there's so many problems over there and Disneyland's older. Built in 55, and you don't see the problems that you see over at Disney World.
Yeah, it's very true. It's really quite strange how that relationship has actually worked out, because you would think that there's so much money coming into Walt Disney World that everything would be in tip-top shape. And yet we see, well, what we're seeing from the entire Experiences division, in which we see a lot of revenue coming in, but not necessarily all of that being reinvested back. And that's only gotten worse for Walt Disney World, whereas Disneyland has ebbed and flowed. Obviously, there have been occasions where maintenance hasn't at all been maintained, and then there has been times when it's been maintained to the utmost degree. Now, obviously, that's, if it is a sliding scale, Disneyland has been suffering quite a bit recently. However, I don't think as bad as Walt Disney World. And that might just come down to just how much there is to maintain at Walt Disney World, right?
Yes.
I mean, you could spend $1 billion at Disneyland and you might get an entirely new land, right? Like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, for instance. Whereas you spend $1 billion in Walt Disney World, you might not even see it. So that's kind of the difference, the difference in scale and volume there.
So true. So many people, let's get another park. Well, that sometimes, if you own a home or if you own something, even a car, every single time you own something, you have to maintain it, keep it up, or else it just dies. And yes, Walt Disney World's huge to maintain, if you think about that endeavor.
Yes, it is indeed. And we are certainly going to be talking about the issues for sure when it comes to maintenance and what actually goes into that and so forth. And whoa, oh my goodness, I think Dude Man Cuz, he just got super generous right here. Let's go ahead and showcase that for a little bit. Dude Man Cuz gifting 10 Vash Sky ParkCast memberships. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Fantastic. Do appreciate that. And that means so many of you out there can actually visit us on that Saturday 3 p.m. program right there, Vash and Vixen. We have so many of you out there. I'm just going to go over it very, very briefly right here because we do have to get onto our first story. But Theme Park SoCal, Kendall, the Immersive. Oh, that's a good name. I do like that quite a bit right there. Aaron Ford, Emerald Eagle, Daniel Dew right there, Adam Holt Adventures. Thank you so much. That is fantastic. Do Man Cuz, very much appreciate that. That is awesome. We now have new Skywatchers in the fleet. All thanks because of you. That is phenomenal. All right. I think that just about does it for that right there. Been trying to get this to work back here, so taking up a little bit of time because I want to go ahead and do this proper. I want to do this awesome. And you know what? I think we're able to do this right now. Again, thank you so much to Mancuz and Juliet out there for providing us so much. I mean, the poo diapers. Okay. That actually features part of our lead story. But before we get to our lead, I gotta talk about this because I've been wanting to talk about this. I haven't gotten a chance to, and now finally I can, officially. And it's awesome. Here we go. You know what sound that is. That's a little Ozzy Osbourne, because apparently the Prince of Darkness is coming for HHN 35. This is absolutely extraordinary right there. Halloween Horror Nights. Awesome stuff. You know me. I'm a big Ozzy fan, big Black Sabbath fan, big metal fan in general, but obviously you got to give it up to Ozzy. And man, it's like a year since he's passed. My goodness gracious, no good. But we first got clued into this in multiple ways. Obviously, the rumors have been out there for quite a while right now, and there have been various sources that have indicated, yes, Ozzy Osbourne is coming. But our first big clue that all of us could kind of jump on officially was this. This was Ronster the Monster, actually. Ooh, that does not look good right there for the program. That's fantastic. Maybe you can actually see a little bit clearer with this. Apparently there was a piece of merchandise that was actually found that indicated that, yes, the Prince of Darkness himself was coming for the 35th showing of Halloween Horror Nights, both in Orlando and in Hollywood right there. You can see Ozzy Osbourne featured prominently in that piece of merchandise right there. So it was like, okay, this is coming. Then obviously we had some various radio advertisements that featured Ozzy Osbourne there. So it's like, okay, this is coming. I think we're all on board with this. Let's go ahead and go. And it turns out, here you go, right here, Halloween Horror Nights. Let the madness begin. A haunted house inspired by the twisted mind of Ozzy Osbourne, coming to Universal Studios Hollywood. Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Orlando, but Halloween Horror Nights scream through a decaying world where the music and mayhem collide. Tickets on sale now. Of course, they are right there. Very, very cool. I do like that as part of their reveals right here. Also, too, we have some merchandise. Oh, yes, indeed. It's not just a little figurine, but obviously it's going to involve t-shirts and everything else that the Oz Man can feature right here. I think it's very, very cool. I am super excited to be at Halloween Horror Nights this year and actually experience this maze for myself. And I do believe we have a write-up from Variety actually going over a lot of these details right here. Ozzy Osbourne Haunted Experiences headed to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. Here we go. It is set to pay tribute to Ozzy Osbourne with an original haunted house dubbed Ozzy Osbourne Prince of Darkness. As part of the experience, guests will be able to climb aboard the crazy train for a terrifying trip through his disturbing world of rock and roll. Developed as a living horror movie through the lens of Halloween Horror Nights, this non-traditional memorial to Ozzy Osbourne, who died in 2025, will span 45 years, transporting guests on a twisted journey through the artist's solo career and a unique experience across both coasts. At Universal Studios Hollywood, the haunted house transports fans to where it all began, in Birmingham, England, home to John Michael Ozzy Osbourne. Starting with Crazy Train, Osbourne's most famous song, guests will travel through time from his early childhood to the Osbourne Asylum, inspired by the iconic album Diary of a Madman. As they weave through the decades, the unique iterations of Ozzy's persona will have come to life, from Madman Ozzy to Werewolf Ozzy to the Prince of Darkness, the moniker he earned in the 1970s. Music from Osbourne solo albums, including The Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, Bark of the Moon, No More Tears, Scream, and Ordinary Man, will all be featured, which is very, very cool right there. Look, love all those albums, for sure. I'm a little bit of a Zach fan, must say, but certainly Randy Rhoads, phenomenal stuff right there. I love all these things. So that's very, very cool. In a joint statement, Sharon and Jack Osbourne said, Ozzy never stopped pushing boundaries. He loved anything that gave fans a new way to experience his music and the worlds he created. They added, Halloween Horror Nights has done an incredible job bringing that spirit to life. Walking through these haunted houses, you'll recognize so many moments inspired by his music and imagination. It's a wonderful tribute to Ozzy, and we hope fans have as much fun experiencing it as we would have had seeing it come together. So that's very, very cool. Let's go ahead and get some B-roll playing right here. Boom! Halloween Horror Nights 35 right there. At Universal Orlando, Halloween Horror Nights guests will venture through ancient ruins and foreboding dungeons before boarding the Crazy Train for a twisted ride into a realm inspired by the covers of his fan favorite albums like Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon, The Ultimate Sin, and Black Rain. Ruled by the Prince of Darkness, this fantastical world draws from the heavier sound and sinister imagery that define the later years of Ozzy's career, transforming that creative evolution into a horrific journey through his unmistakably twisted imagination. Quote, Ozzy Osbourne didn't just help define heavy metal, he created a cultural phenomenon that has influenced generations of music, art, and horror, said John Murdy, executive producer of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood. We previously had the privilege of collaborating with Ozzy, and this new haunted house is an opportunity to honor his extraordinary solo career. Inspired by all 13 of his albums, guests will journey through the dark, surreal worlds that fueled his music and cement his legacy as the one and only Prince of Darkness. It's very, very cool. I think this is absolutely phenomenal right here. I love how the Prince of Darkness himself will be represented. I think his brand is uniquely suited for Halloween Horror Nights, so I think it's a match made in heaven right there. I know a lot of people were like, hey, Michael Jackson, I get it. But hey, we can always feature Michael Jackson in our next Halloween Horror Nights. Ozzy, there's something about him. I really did want him to be included. And I think this is phenomenal. I think this is a really great way of doing that, going over his career and so forth, his obviously iconic albums. I think that's really, really cool. And I know that, at least at Universal Studios Hollywood, I know that Theme Park Wizard actually had someone reach out to him, and he may know some details that many of you don't right there, but apparently, he is saying to me it's very, very detailed. It actually sits behind Mummy, I do believe, is where the house currently sits in Universal Studios Hollywood right there. So that's very, very cool. Apparently, the Crazy Train certainly does make an appearance right there. Osborne Asylum, for sure. So that's going to be absolutely phenomenal right here. Let's see. Let me go ahead and get my producer extraordinaire back on the screen right here. Disney Fan 55. Are you excited about the prospect of perhaps entering the mad world of, well, the Prince of Darkness?
Yes. I'm really excited. I wish I had seen him. You've seen him, correct?
Yes, I did.
You got to see him?
I did. I think I got to see him back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, right there.
Right.
The one time I did. But obviously I've seen Zakk Wylde numerous times.
Right.
For sets involving Zach Sabbath and Black Label Society, obviously. So I'm obviously more familiar with Zach. But Ozzy was a force of his own. I mean, just uniquely talented, uniquely legendary. Just had an amazing persona. And obviously he was so influential to the entire music industry. Really, really cool to see him featured in this way at Halloween Horror Nights. I think it's awesome. And like I was saying before, there's unique imagery that you can pull from. There's an atmosphere, a vibe that you can certainly elicit with some of his mad creations right there, spanning over 13 albums.
Well, I'm glad I got to go see Zakk Wylde, at least. As close as I'm going to come. But he was great.
Right.
So here we have, let's see here. Follow the Brothers Fund asks, do they have HHN in Hollywood?
Yes, they absolutely do. Let me see if I can go ahead and bring that up right there. Yes, Follow the Brothers Fund, or Ron, which, by the way, his show will be following ours right there. You'll be redirected onto his program at the conclusion of ours. So thank you so much for coming on in here. Yes, they do have Halloween Horror Nights at Hollywood. It's a big deal. I haven't necessarily measured the enthusiasm between the two coasts, but I can certainly tell you that people in Hollywood, people in this local area, Southern California area, are very excited every single year for Halloween Horror Nights. It's a big event. And I think a lot of people will be excited for this one as well, especially now that we have Sinners, we have Stranger Things Season 5, I do believe. The Purge stunt show, by the way, that occurs in the Waterworld Theater is excellent. So it's a awesome event, and hopefully, maybe, possibly, at least before the event, could we get Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift open by then? Really hoping for that.
Hopefully. Hopefully. It looks like it's positive, so that'll be great. We have Texas 8412. Can you bite the head off of a bat? Now, we talked about that. You got to tell the story for the people that don't know. You have to.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So, very early on in his solo career, and I don't know what he was thinking or whatever, but there were people that would obviously bring props and so forth, and they throw it on the stage, and it's a very different time period, you got to think, than the one we live in right now, where you have to go through security, metal detectors and so forth, and every single thing in your pockets has to be checked. You just bring in basically anything you wanted to in some of those early concerts right there, and some people would actually bring in, props and certain things. And somebody brought in a bat that I believe was not alive. And Ozzy, after having this actually thrown on stage, picked it up and bit it off. And he was thinking it was a rubber bat, and well, it wasn't. And so, well, the obviously. That story lives in infamy right now, but apparently he described it as obviously super gross and something he wasn't actually intending and so forth, to bite the head off a bat right there. But I think he suffered. I think he had to go through a whole bunch of rabies vaccinations right there in order to assist with that, because obviously there's a lot of bacteria and there's a lot of the stuff that you can actually get. So not good. Not what you actually want to have happen. But it will live with him forever. I do wonder, by the way, if they'll have food, maybe based on some of the more infamous stories going into Ozzy Osbourne's history, like the bat incident. I don't know, maybe. It is possible. Let's see right here. Yeah, need Alice Cooper House. Maybe that's coming in the future right there. Hey, these autobiographies featuring music artists and so forth are so popular right now, these biographical films and all of that. So maybe, perhaps, possibly we get more music inclusion right there. Obviously we had the Weekend House in years past. Thriller, I think, would be phenomenal if we can get Michael Jackson in there, but we're pretty cool that we're actually getting the Ozzy Osbourne house right here. Yeah, Texas 84, very much indeed. Thought it was fake, and it was not. So there you go. Vash sent you a text just now about Universal Cruises. Oh, well, that's interesting.
Maybe breaking news.
That might be breaking news, actually. Well, yeah, we have talked about this. Yeah. We can talk about it a little bit more, right now, actually, as we have some stories coming on in here. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of research on this, but and feature it a little bit later in the show, because we've got to get to our lead story, actually. It's the one that y'all clicked on, so I want to go ahead and give you a bit of that. But thank you so much, Wizard, for that. We will definitely be looking into that, because we have been talking about the possibility of a cruise line being developed for Universal, and I think it would be an absolute win for us theme park fans. All right. Yeah. Let's see here. Joshua Stewart. Good afternoon, Vash, and hail to the chat and mods. I do appreciate that right there. The mods do too. I want to go ahead and say thank you, mods, for all you do. You do amazing stuff. All right. Yeah. Here we go. Lead story. Without any further ado right here. We've got to get to this because it was just so remarkable. What happens when 60 to 80,000 people in a theme park lose water? And what is it that you do when that happens? We're about to find out.
Hey, Rare Fox, Rare Rabbit, where you fellas go in such a hurry?
We's leaving.
Use what?
We's leaving.
Well, what do you want to do that for?
Why, you can't open a splash mountain when that mountain ain't got no water.
No water?
No water. No water?
No water indeed. Santa Monica Observer here, holding it in at the happiest place on earth. Disneyland water outage shuts every bathroom. Guests left high and dry. Water outage hits Disneyland Resort as Anaheim infrastructure issues shuts restrooms and dining down. This by Stan Green here at the Santa Monica Observer right here. I'm going to go ahead and change up the view on this because we want to go ahead and get that nice, bold, and big for you guests at home. Guests at Disneyland Park and downtown Disney faced a chaotic evening Tuesday when a City of Anaheim infrastructural problem caused a major drop in water pressure and partial outages, leaving the popular resort without running water. According to reports from visitors on the ground, the outage left restrooms completely unusable across the park and downtown Disney District. Restaurants and bars were unable to seat guests due to health code requirements that mandate running water for hand washing and sanitation. Crowds were left scrambling, with some describing the situation as, quote, utter chaos, as tens of thousands of people dealt with no functioning facilities. Social media posts and discussions on platforms including Reddit r/Disney community quickly confirmed the problem. One visitor posted that Disney had not made local announcements, leaving many unaware until they arrived or were already inside the resort itself. A reply noted that the main water line serving parts of Anaheim was down, affecting the broader city rather than an isolated park failure. I want to go ahead and be clear about this one because, we do blame Disney for quite a bit. And look, I'm not saying that blame is entirely unwarranted. I think a lot of it is. But in this particular case, this might not have been Disneyland. It doesn't seem like it is. And sure enough, the Anaheim city had released this advisory talking about this issue. Temporary water pressure issue. 6:50 p.m. We are addressing a water pressure issue impacting parts of downtown, State College Boulevard, and near the Anaheim Resort area. The issue involves a handful of Anaheim groundwater wells and technical issues drawing water from them. We are offsetting the issue by using additional river water. Other wells across the city are not impacted, and those impacted should see improving water pressure over the next hour or so. I do believe the water for Anaheim is gathered by the use of 12 of these wells here, and I do believe 4 of them went down, causing this particular issue for all of those residents in certainly these parts of Anaheim, and that would include the guests at Disneyland Resort, which is not good, to say the least. The disruption stemmed from a temporary water pressure drop tied to municipal infrastructure, not a Disney-specific mechanical issue. By approximately 8 p.m., normal operations had been restored, not fully, though. We'll go into that in just a moment. According to subsequent updates circulating online, one visitor who had earlier warned others to stay away, later posted a brief update confirming personal relief after facilities returned. I believe that's Stella X on X. Yes. The incident adds to a series of water infrastructural challenges across the greater Los Angeles region in recent weeks, though Anaheim operates its own municipal water system separate from the LA Department of Water and Power. No official statements from Disneyland Resort or the city of Anaheim detailing the exact cause or duration were immediately available upon press time. Local residents and tourists planning summer visits to the happiest place on earth are advised to check with the official Disneyland app and the City of Anaheim alerts for any lingering effects. I would say so. Hey, look at that! Running water. Interesting. It's almost like I put this B-roll together with that piece of information in there. Very interesting. Okay, well, let's go ahead and see this video. This is quite shocking. Indeed, this was a user on Instagram, which I'm forgetting the name of. I do apologize right here. Usually I have all my my sources listed right here, but I wasn't able to do that currently. This is by Jamie Easton on Instagram right there with this. And apparently they were telling people that, no, you cannot actually access the restrooms while this was going on. Now think about this for a second, guys. Okay. You have a park with anywhere between, 50 to 60,000 people in it at any one time. That's basically the max right now that Disneyland likes to have for the Disneyland park itself right there. And all those people can't actually access running water. Now, you might think, oh, well, Maybe you can't actually take a drink or get water, which is bad enough, right? I mean, it is, we're talking about 90-degree days in this part of July right here for Disneyland. Obviously, July 17th, back in 1955, you had 100 degrees in the shade. That is not so uncommon during this time period because it's so hot in Disneyland. Well, you can't get water, which is bad enough. Obviously, people suffer from heat stroke and everything else. But now you can't actually go to the restroom, even if you have been enjoying your own water. What does that mean exactly for everybody caught at Disneyland? Just think about that, folks. You can't go to the restroom at all at Disneyland for a period of time. I understand some facilities started to come up slowly, but for that amount of time, oh my goodness gracious, that is a scary situation right here. You can see all these people lined up right there trying to use the facilities themselves as restrooms started to come back online, but it was a slow process. And I guess you had to check like social media and Reddit and so forth to try to see whether or not these specific restrooms were opened or operational and all of that. I mean, this was an absolute nightmare. There you go, from Stella X here on X. Breaking, Disneyland Park and Downtown Disney in Anaheim currently have 0 running water, meaning 0 restrooms anywhere, and no restaurants or bars can seat anyone. Do not come to Disneyland today. It's utter chaos, and no one can, well, go number 1 anywhere. Disney is being shady AF, not announcing this locally, so tens of thousands of people are trapped with no running water or restrooms. You can see right here, Disney has absolute control over properly announcing this to the tens of thousands of families here with small children, which they have not attempted to do whatsoever. It's absolutely criminally negligent how they're handling this. Now, I'm not sure if I would actually include this in the realm of criminal negligence. However, this is a big deal. This is a big thing. Imagine coming from your resort hotel, which many people did, going to Disneyland and finding out, oh my goodness, we can't actually go to the restroom anywhere. We can't actually use any facilities anywhere. We can't actually make our dining reservations or reservations for bars and so forth because apparently, according to, health code in the Southern California area specifically, you can't actually operate a restaurant facility unless you have running water for, obviously, sanitational purposes. Purposes of washing hands and all of that. So now your restaurants and everything are down. This is a big deal. Let me go ahead and get Disney Fan 55 back in here to talk about this because this is so crazy. Disney Fan 55, are you there?
I sure am.
Indeed. What do you think about 60,000 people, maybe even 80,000 if you include parts of Disney California Adventure and Downtown Disney here? I didn't hear about Disney California Adventure being involved in this, but we do know that Disneyland for sure suffered with basically no running water for a period of time. Now, it wasn't the entire length. It was at least for maybe a few hours. Disneyland 55, your thoughts, please.
Well, Stella X happened to be there, and she reports on a lot of stuff happening in LA and the surrounding area. She just happened to be there, and she went to like 7 different restrooms, couldn't go for hours. I mean, it was hours. One of her main concerns or gripes were this was a city problem. Her problem was that Disneyland never told any of the guests, never made any announcements at all that the water was off and that there was no restrooms, no water fountains, etc. And, you have a lot of families with little kids. You have people that, have to go to the restroom a lot, people with diabetes, people with different health problems. They never told anybody, and they would just go to the restroom and you'd have these 2 big, burly, cast members standing there, security, saying, no, you can't go in. And that was one of her biggest gripes. And I just can't imagine. There's nowhere you can go because even the hotels were, affected. So say you were staying at, the Disneyland Hotel or the Grand Californian, you can't even just run to your room and just go. Those were broken too. So I think it was how they handled it was one of her biggest gripes.
Yes, I think how they handled it could have been far better. I would have loved to have seen announcements. I would have loved to have seen in-park announcements along with maybe app notifications and so forth. Obviously, Disney knows your phone number in a lot of cases, so maybe push text notifications in this particular case, telling people as openly as possible and as soon as possible. Hey, this is an issue. Please, let's go ahead and maybe make different travel arrangements or make different arrangements in order to seek out the facilities that you do need, at least at some point at Disneyland property right there. Would have mitigated the issue, perhaps put a little less stress on just about everybody to have them maybe, make modifications in their planning in their day. To account for something like this, right? Maybe perhaps you don't go to Disneyland today, or maybe you seek out I don't know, a refund or something in order to mitigate this issue. But so many people actually, not only were they in the park with all this happening, but they actually came to the park and were introduced to this problem. Especially like, you got to think, right? 75% of the annual attendance of Disneyland comes from within 250 miles of the resort. A lot of those are locals, they're annual pass holders, right? They're coming in order to take advantage of their maybe AAPs or magic keys, right? And with that, you're going to be going there maybe after work in a lot of cases. And when that happens, maybe you come out 6 o'clock or whatever, just got off of work, you go to Disneyland for a few hours, and you're like, okay, let's go ahead and, before we go on that great ride, let's go ahead and use the restroom while I'm here. And no, you can't. And that situation's playing out, I'm sure, to the tune of perhaps tens of thousands of Southern California residents who actually want to visit Disneyland that day. Not good. Disneyland 55, not good at all.
Not good at all, especially for those of you that are not aware of how to get out of Disneyland. It's not quick. So, and this was citywide. So, if you parked at, say, Mickey and Friends parking structure or Toy Story parking structure, you got to get on a bus, you got to get on a tram, you got to go down there, you got to get out of the parking structure. You're talking it's probably half an hour to 45 minutes to get inside the park or outside of the park. So that
Rudio actually has some pretty good commentary on this specific issue right here. Not to cut you off, Disneyland 55. I just want to go ahead and make sure we include this right here. They have the ability to broadcast a service announcement via the Disneyland app and PA system. They have no excuses. I do agree with you. They certainly do have the ability to do all of these things and more, I do believe. But Rudio goes on here with some very interesting commentary on this particular point right here. It's also an influx of guests arriving with the new evening Twilight ticket. Oh, that famous Twilight ticket that we've been talking about in the past. Especially in this program here. I like the value of the Twilight ticket. I do. $59, and you can get in Disneyland starting at like 8 or 9. Can't quite remember the hours attached to that pass, but it was a pretty good value from what we could see. Maybe it was 5, 6, 7. Chat, help me out here. I can't remember the time when you could actually walk in, but it was around the time when this issue was at its worst. That's kind of the interesting thing about this. Disneyland 55, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Oh, we are getting lots of noise on your end. Right there. Oh. Okay. Oh. Are you there now?
I am.
Okay. We just want to make sure that you are there. Let's see here. They've been letting guests walk in the gates around 6:30-ish for that Twilight ticket. I do appreciate that. And we do know from that advisory that apparently the issues had really started to compound at 6:50. So That's not a good combination. Right. And again, all of that could have been mitigated to the extent possible, right? I understand this is not Disneyland's issue, but it's all about how you respond in some cases. These issues could have been mitigated by just a push notification, just saying, hey, look, listen, maybe you want to go ahead and rethink your travel plans because we don't have any restrooms right now. Or maybe your favorite dining facility isn't available. Or maybe your reservation can't be honored because we can't actually have anybody dine here. That kind of thing.
Absolutely. If they do it in the ride queues. So when a ride goes down, it'll go down for a while and you're like, it's broken. Hopefully it'll come up. And then they'll make an announcement when it's like, it's going to be a long time. They don't know when it's going to come up. They'll make the announcement, hey, the ride is going to be down. We don't know when it's going to come up. You can leave the line if you want to. And that gives people a heads up, so they can make the choice themselves, especially with kids.
Indeed. I think it's extremely good information right here. Tony G 8949 coming in here with the $5. Thank you so much for that. Remember when Shanghai Disneyland and Hong Kong put up signs that asked visitors not to number 1, number 2 in the flower beds? Those were the days. Yes, I do remember that. I remember the viral videos that were actually making their way out to the internet back in 2016, around the time that Shanghai was coming online there. It was a wild time, I will say. It's crazy, the kind of stuff that was actually happening with some of those flower beds, maybe with some of those line queues and so forth, where people weren't, necessarily used to staying in line, and the cultural norms, maybe perhaps, of visiting these places hadn't been established in a place like mainland China. Very, very interesting, very, very fascinating to go over that. But I mean, and I was trying to ask people about this, Disney fan, what would you do? Like, okay, if you had a small kid or whatever and they had to go, what is it that you do in this situation? And maybe if you're an adult, what options are available to you in this particular situation? Because I can imagine you'd be kind of in a bind if you were at, like, maybe Toontown, right, at the back of the park, and now it's like, where do we go? What do we do? Your thoughts?
Well, 21 Royal with Cheese says, I don't know about you, but I'm finding the nearest bush. And then and that's what the sign is for you, 21 Royal with Cheese. That sign is for you. I don't know. I have to agree that they should have let people know so that it wasn't, a lot of kids, especially ones that are, say, potty training, they're going to wait to the last minute. They're at the park. They're having fun. They're going to wait to the last minute to tell you they've got to go. So they're already, busting at the seams, and it can take half an hour to an hour to get out of there. And then you got to get out of the city. This is just, and I wonder, and I haven't heard from anybody. No one's really mentioned it. Did they give out water at least for people? Because, we kind of carry our drinks with us and stuff, but if you didn't have any water, I don't know. Because it was a hot day too. Very hot day.
Extremely hot day. Again, temperatures averaging anywhere between 85 and 95 degrees in the Anaheim area, especially right now. Certainly yesterday, when this was all taking place right here, it's not a cool park to be in at this time anyway. And so you do have to wonder what accommodations they were actually making. I did not hear reports that they were giving away free water. I tried to look into that before the start time. I couldn't find anything in my research. I'll have to examine the Our Disneyland Reddit thread a little bit more closely regarding all of this to see about pertinent details like that. I didn't see anything. And so you kind of wonder, okay, well, could Disney have at least done that? Could they have at least given out bottled water, or maybe, allow people access to the soda fountains if in fact those were working? I do believe they do require water hookups. Maybe in some cases they don't. All of those things I would have hoped that Disney themselves would have championed there at Disneyland. I just don't know if they did. Beyond that, they were actually threatening, that any exposure, right, from people perhaps using pushers would be indecent, which it would be. And obviously you can be trespassed, maybe even criminally prosecuted in some cases, especially, as it relates to a place with small children and all of that. Not something you want to do. And so this is why I kind of ask, what would you do in this situation? What would you do if you were at the back of Disneyland and it takes you 25 minutes even to make it to a city street, much less, beyond that? You got to also anticipate that this is not just a Disneyland issue. This is a city of Anaheim issue. So who even knows where you could actually get relief quickly regarding this whole thing?
And we have Texas 8412. Water pipes are breaking in LA. So water pipes are 100 years old in the Hollywood area. So they're breaking here, here, and here. They were supposed to fix them in, 56 more years or something. And now they're having to do it before 156 years. These are old infrastructures. And so it does make you wonder if there's problems with the wells. Are we going to see more problems in the future? Some people were mentioning that why doesn't Disney have their own, water sources, to rely on? That's a whole nother expense, of course. But could we see these problems in the future? And does this turn into a ball dropping in New York kind of situation where you bring diapers? I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean, it's possible. And yeah, I have seen those LA infrastructural issues myself. And even this article here by the Santa Monica Observer actually talked about how LA has been suffering from water main breaks and so forth. I believe the fourth water main break actually occurred today, if I'm not mistaken. But it you do kind of wonder about some of this aging infrastructure and how well it is being maintained by these city ordinances and so forth, and these utilities that these parks rely on. It is kind of an interesting question right there. Just touchy right here. I think a lot of people will be watering the plants. I think so. I mean, I guess if you can avoid that indecent exposure allegation, yeah, sure. I mean, maybe that's what you do. Very, very interesting. We did have also too, just actually coming in here with something pretty funny, because there ain't no party like a Winnie the Pooh diaper party. Oh man, this is not good. This is not great right there. Don't like to see that, but you got to think that something like that might be happening. Troy Gustafson. There will be a line to Snow White's well. Oh no! Oh, with the change for children down there. Oh, that's terrible. That's not good. Don't want to see that. Certainly don't want to see that indeed. Let's see right here. Let's see. Yep. United States infrastructure old. One of the largest reasons why electric vehicle mandates are a horrid idea. Our power lines are very, very old. Yeah, beyond that, right? United States infrastructure for many of its services very, very old and aging. Some places maintain them better than others, and that's the thing. We don't quite know whether or not this was a maintenance issue related to the city of Anaheim, but that's what people are suspecting, especially with the larger context of obviously water main breaks in LA and so forth. So very, very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting story. From what I understood from this whole thing, things started to come back online, but they were slow. It didn't just all appear. It was this restroom was now available. So that's why you saw the big line, let's say, at the Plaza Inn restaurant that we played video from before, right? Like, it would be one restroom and then another that would pop up, and then you'd have to read social media accounts about, okay, which restroom is available. Hopefully that information was relayed to cast members who could direct you towards facilities that were actually operational. It was not easy. I do believe by this point everything should have been restored. Obviously, you could have some lingering effects from this. I do believe everything is operational right now. But Disneyland 55, very difficult situation indeed.
Indeed. Very difficult.
Oh, yes. And I have been alerted to even more breaking news, actually. Man, it is just crazy. What is popping off here on this amazing theme park day? Let me go ahead and chamber that as well for future, because that's a big update regarding the future of Dollywood. Let's see right here if we can go ahead and get on to our next story. There you go. From KTLA5, Disneyland cast member takes off shirt, jumps into Rivers of America on hot summer day. This by Imam Paul. July 24th, 2026. Oh no, July 24th. It was the day that New Orleans Square celebrated its 60th anniversary. What a way to celebrate. A Disneyland employee removed his shirt and jumped into the Rivers of America on Thursday during a hot summer day at the park. The cast member briefly entered the Rivers of America and quickly made his way backstage after exiting, according to Disneyland officials. A video of the incident has circulated on social media, with users saying the cast member removed his shirt and walkie-talkie before entering the water. In the footage, no watercraft passed him during his brief swim. The Mark Twain riverboat and sailing ship Columbia typically travel through the area, taking guests on a 14 to 15-minute excursion. You have also, too, with that river traffic, the rafts of Tom Sawyer's Island and the canoes that would make its way around the riverbed right there. So it was very surprising to actually see a cast member actually disrobe in the way he did, throw his walkie-talkie and keys apparently into the rivers of America, and then join them in said river. It was very, very surprising. We have some B-roll here featuring footage of this incident. There you go. That's the one right there. That's not good. That's not what you want to see. That is incredible that this ever occurred. One Instagram user wrote, "It was pretty toasty this morning. He didn't say anything to anyone, just whipped off his shirt, jumped in, swam for 30 seconds, hopped out, ignored all other cast members and questions, casually walked off." From what I understand, yes, that is exactly what happened. In fact, he did try to make his way backstage into a cast member only area, cast member, parking lot sort of situation right there. I do believe Club 33 beneficiaries are club members are dropped off there as one of their perks in order to get access to the club from behind that New Orleans Square area right there. So I think that was at play, that he was trying to make his way to exit not just from Disneyland but completely off property through that backstage area behind the buildings of New Orleans Square there. Pretty crazy to actually have this happen. Now, a lot of people have speculated to the heat, right? And it's very, very hot. Let me see if I can go ahead and bring up Walt Disney World News Today here and see what they actually had to say about this regarding the heat. It's not known if he was disgruntled or he was simply overheated. Disneyland reached a high of 90 degrees today. 90 degrees Fahrenheit is considered a notably hot temperature for Anaheim, California, while average highs in the summer typically peak in the mid-80s. According to the Weather Channel, Disneyland is under a heat advisory until Monday, July 27th at 8 p.m. PDT. Well, at least it's July 27th, not July 28th, where obviously they had water issues right there. But still, not great. You don't want to see your infrastructure in a bad place, and certainly don't want to see cast members actually finding all the water they can and jumping into the rivers of America. Crazy how we have had two water-related stories, both of them very on opposite sides of this spectrum right here, but certainly involving the Disneyland Resort. Disney 55, what was your reaction to seeing this cast member actually disrobe like this, swim in rivers of America for, I don't know, I think OC Register said he swam like 100 feet in front of Tom Sawyer's Island, swam back, got up, got out. What's your take on all of this? This is crazy.
I could not believe it. I could not believe it. Never seen anything like it. Right in front of everybody. Now you kind of wonder about kids looking at this. And the first thing I thought of is he's so fired. If he wasn't fired before.
Yeah. Yes, and you can see the distinctive custodial cast member uniform that's shown right here. So it was a custodial cast member. It looks like that was involved specifically, which I've just never seen anything like this before. I've been covering theme parks 20 years. Never seen anything like this. Heck, I haven't even really seen videos of cast members crashing out, right? But to see a cast member actually do something like this and have it be recorded from multiple angles and so forth, just couldn't imagine. It's just not a thing. So it was very surprising to me. I think a lot of people have speculated that maybe an alternative substance might be involved here. And I think, when looking at what could have possibly motivated somebody to do this, I'd say you have to certainly include that as part of this equation until we hear otherwise, or until there's maybe an official report, which I do know that Disneyland is looking into this and looking into examining what exactly happened. Maybe, in fact, they actually add on the Anaheim PD to this. That is a possibility as well, because technically this cast member was trespassing in an area in which he was not supposed to be in. 21 Rail, she's actually in the chat right now. Was he banned from the park? Well, absolutely. I think you would be trespassed for sure. Automatic firing. All of that, I think, is the lengths of which Disney, I think, has gone here in this particular situation. Disneyland 55, anything else you want to go ahead and add to this? Because this was just a shocking thing.
Well, it's sad. It's really sad because he's probably going to be trespassed for the rest of his life. And so, any cast member that works for the parks probably loves the parks. And I don't know if he was having a mental episode, if he was already fired, but now he probably will never be able to go again. So was it worth it?
True. I don't think so. And I do like your commentary about the children. Obviously, they mimic what they see. And hopefully no kids actually do anything like this, because this is an extremely dangerous situation. I mean, there have been people expiring within that Rivers of America. Actually, there's a noteworthy incident, I believe, taking place in the 1950s and 1970s. I don't quite remember when exactly. But of course, two brothers actually made their way onto Tom Sawyer's Island in order to stay overnight right there. And I believe they were successful in that process. And when they tried to swim across the Rivers of America, with one on the other's back right there, the older brother who could actually swim, unfortunately got his foot trapped on the track of the Mark Twain, as you can see right now on your screen, and unfortunately didn't make it successfully from Rivers of America, which was very unfortunate. So it's a very dangerous thing. Never do this, like, ever. Certainly cast members, right? This is just not something you want to do, and I don't even know of divers who have actually done something like this at Rivers of America. Usually they drain various areas if they have to work on something infrastructurally down below. It'd be extremely rare to even have a diver in this area, much less a cast member just swimming like this. So not good, very dangerous, very crazy, and certainly newsworthy. Goodness gracious. Man, that is wild. Let's see if we can actually get to this Dollywood right here, because we might have an update on Night Flight Expedition here. Let's see if we can actually... Oh, yes. I do believe we do. Let's see if we can actually get this on screen right now, because I've been waiting for updates to this for a long, long time. We all know that we love Dollywood over here. And I am no exception to that love. Here we go. Let's go ahead and get this one down and get this story on. Dollywood's Night Flight Expedition is ready to soar. Here's when it opens. This by Daverick Turner. Let's see here, July 29th, 2026, 2:10 p.m. Hot off the presses, E.T. After a delayed liftoff, Dollywood is ready to take flight in August. The theme park announced an August 14th dedication ceremony for its new ride, Night Flight Expedition, according to a news release on July 29th. And Dolly Park is scheduled to be there for a special occasion as well. Only media and special invited VIPs will be able to try out the new ride that day, though, according to Dollywood. The highly anticipated indoor attraction is not only the largest single investment in Dollywood's history, but it will offer a unique ride experience that can't be found anywhere else in the world. Night Flight is inspired by Dolly Parton's love for the Great Smoky Mountains at night. The family ride is Dollywood's 11th coaster and helps the park move closer to its goal of becoming open all year long, which would be very, very cool if they can actually pull that off. This is a huge show building indoor coaster right here, and obviously it has that ingenious Mac design in which it can also, float on the water and move through a course on the water, but also to become a coaster as well. A lot of people have been anticipating this, so it's very, very cool to see that there is an update to all of this. Well, we're going to be having to do a little bit more work to get the ride ready for operation. I do think that's what he said there. Dollywood President Eugene Naughton said in an Instagram video posted June 16th. It's an incredibly complex and interesting ride that we're trying to get ready. A little bit more work to do on our show and test and adjust period, but we promise to work on it as diligently as possible. Let me see if I have any B-roll of this, because I thought I might, but I'm not sure actually. Let's see here. Do I have anything of Night Flight? I might not here. Let me see, because I really want to give you guys an idea of this ride and its ride system. I think it's extremely unique. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Disneyland 55. Do you know of the Night Flight Expedition there, Disneyland 55?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Well, we're caught in
I've heard
pickle, aren't we?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't remember the details.
Right. Okay, let me see if I can actually get it up for us right here. Hopefully, they have some video to now show us, because I've been trying to find it, and I know they've been a little cagey with that. Here you go. Let's see if we can actually pull this up. Attractions 360 actually has this update for us. Here you go. Night Flight Expedition, a new immersive indoor coaster, is opening at Dollywood in just 3 weeks on August 19th. We rode Mission Bermudas at Future Scope in France, and it was so good. I believe that uses the same ride system, if I'm not mistaken. Can't wait to ride it at Dollywood and see which version of it is better. I do agree with that take. Let me go ahead and get this these images here for us, so we can go ahead and partake in what the France version of this includes. Yes, there you go, right there. It is awesome. It is fantastic. I love the ride system actually being used right here. You can see right there what this is all about. You can see the kind of coaster train portion of this whole thing further on in this image, which is obviously going to be a big aspect utilized for this Night Flight Expedition attraction. You see right there, make your way through a course on this kind of powered vehicle right there, going through these what look like coaster banks and so forth. It's awesome, Disneyland 55. This is a really cool attraction. Perhaps, hey, maybe we make the journey out to Tennessee and actually see this thing, huh?
That is super cool. I like it. I was following more the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift in Bacchanal. I must have missed this one.
Yes,
this looks really cool.
Indeed.
Kind of a hybrid. So this will be neat to have kind of a water ride.
Yeah, which I think Hollywood certainly requires right here. This video coming from Theme Park Social right here. Breaking news. Very cool. Love this. I think this is awesome.
Like
Man,
seats.
I want to see this so badly.
The seats are neat. Seats look really good. Yeah.
Seats are cool. I love this. This is awesome. I think the ride vehicles are really amazingly engineered, amazingly designed. You can see a little bit of this previous iteration of this ride vehicle technology in motion right here with Attractions 360 video. I'm trying to get it for you guys right here. Let's see if we can actually play it. Boom, right there. Again, Attractions 360 with this video. You can see this is the France iteration of this. It's kind of utilizes kind of a rocking boat ride system, and you can see a highly detailed and highly themed space that this actually traverses through. We expect even more ornate theming when it comes to the Dollywood version of this. And again, this is going to be indoors, so controlled lighting, controlled sound, all of that being part of the equation as well. This looks absolutely phenomenal.
It sure does, especially being indoors. Then, it could run throughout the whole season, so they won't have to close it for rain or cold, because a lot of people don't want to get real wet.
That's true. That's a fair point right there. Certainly control atmosphere, which would help a lot. And I did not know that Dollywood was attempting to be a 365-day operation right there, or a year-long operation. So this will certainly help in doing that, given that it's indoors. And Tennessee has to deal with snow and freezing conditions and so forth. So a water ride like this, having it be indoors certainly will assist in that. Kind of makes you wonder why Disneyland Paris opted to have their Lion King attraction be very similar in makeup to Splash Mountain back in the day, given that, well, you get very, very cold temperatures there. But that's just me. See right there. Very, very cool. This one taking place in France as well. Interesting.
Very cool.
Oh, look at that. See right there, the rotational kind of system employed for this particular water coaster, if you want to go ahead and call it that. Awesome stuff. Man, I can't wait. I cannot wait for Night Flight Expedition. I think that's going to be really, really cool. I think this is a lift portion right here that takes you through the roller coaster section. Yep, there you go. Takes you up there. Orientates you around.
To the inversions.
Yeah, to the inversions. Yes, exactly. It's gonna be like a Hollywood Drift situation right here. No, it's not. But right there, and then connects you on through, and obviously that's where you go and take the rest of the course. So very cool. I'm very excited about this, and it's very, very good that the Dollywood version here is going to be opening in August with a date. Again, that was, what was it, August 14th? Is that right? Yes. Is that second? Yeah, I'm sorry, August 19th. Good stuff indeed, right there. Oh, breaking news. Man, so much breaking news. You can't even keep it all together. Indeed. Bakunawa! Ah, yes, Bakunawa. I just love the name. And we have been keeping track here at Vash Sky ParkCast, Project Purple. And that being a secret project attached to Six Flags Great Adventure, I do believe, in New Jersey there. Now, obviously, what was also there was, back in the day, Kingda Ka, right? We all remember Kingda Ka. We all love Kingda Ka. And the fact that Six Flags actually took it upon themselves to destroy that in that way, especially following the merger between Cedar Fair and Six Flags, not good. We were hoping that maybe, possibly, perhaps, we might be getting new coasters as a result of some of the things going on internally there at this combined entity. And it does look like we might be getting a little bit of that right now with Bakunawa. Six Flags ready to set more coaster records with Bakunawa. Six Flags Project Purple is... There you go. Bakunawa. I love it. New Jersey's Six Flags Great Adventure this morning pulled back the curtain to reveal all the details about this new 2027 coaster, that it had codenamed Project Purple for the ride's distinctive purple track. We knew that this coaster would be a big one, a Mack Rides launch coaster that would rise more than 300 feet in the air. Today, Six Flags revealed the ride's name and more details about this attraction. Bakunawa is a mood-eating dragon from Philippine mythology. The Jersey version will be a triple LSM, or linear synchronous motor, launch coaster with free-spinning floorless trains. The first launch will take riders from 0 to 60 miles per hour. If that wasn't enough, you're going much faster. The second launch will happen with riders upside down, pushing them to 80 miles per hour, and the final launch will send riders up to 100 miles per hour as they spiral into a 180-degree bank. It's crazy. What is going on right here? It's wild. You can see right there what this is going to look like. Okay, so it's free spin, so it's not like a controlled spin like Hollywood Drift, but besides the fact, free spinning, upside down launches. You're obviously going up, I think it's like 360 feet up into the air, back down again, crazy, at 382, feet tall. Bakunawa will be the third largest coaster, or tallest coaster in the world, trailing world record holder Falcon's Flight, obviously, and U.S. record holder Top Thrill 2. Bakunawa will be the world's tallest and fastest spinning coaster and the world's first spinning floorless coaster. The coaster will feature the world's first upside-down launch, and the world's fastest inversion and longest stall inversion. This thing is crazy. This thing is absolutely madness. It's wild. Now you can see right here, 100 miles per hour, fastest inversion at 80 miles per hour. First floorless spinning coaster, like I was saying before. The coaster trains, by the way, look absolutely phenomenal. Let me see if I can actually get those on screen right now. You can see this video taken by, let's see, Six Flags Great Adventure. Hell, he calls me. He calls me. We'll just leave it there. There you go. Some footage there of the reveal of Project Purple. Down below, I do like how Six Flags does it. Obviously over the top for such a big coaster. You can see the coaster car right there. Big time stuff. Very purple. Much more purple than actually is depicted in the animation, which I think is very interesting. But you can see a pretty high center of gravity for something like this to actually sit on this track. That's very interesting. Wonder what the G-forces will be like there. Closer shot as taken by, I do believe, coaster101.com, I do believe, on X right there. My goodness. Let's see if we can actually go on it here with some visual animations. I do have a longer version here. This is obviously the promotional video that Six Flags themselves released for this. It just looks absolutely phenomenal. This thing looks bonkers right here. In fact, let me go ahead and get Disney Fan 55 on for this thing. D-Fan 55, what is going on here? This thing is outrageous.
I want to go on. This is awesome. I was watching it all night. We were really focused on Fast and Furious, but this thing's outrageous. Now, from what I hear, and
okay,
let's see here, it's WJB Daily brings up Baccano. It looks great.
Looks great.
It'll have
but we'll have no ride capacity to the shuttle. Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second right there. Yes, it looks amazing. We'll talk about capacity issues in very soon because that's a big part of the story. Here you go. First launch right here. This is the thing that's going to bring you, the launch that's going to bring you up to 0 to 60. And then you're going to be launched from this position right here. It looks like going to 80 miles per hour. Oh, wait, maybe it's this one. Yeah, I think it was that one right there. Yeah, so the inverted launch is supposed to be bringing you from 60 to 80, and then I think that last one's supposed to bring you from 80 to 100. So correct. Huge right there. Spirals out. Again, you got to understand about this animation right here. You're spinning out while you're doing this. Okay, so it's like even more crazy. And then obviously you have that 0G stall right there that is launched as well to take you all the way back. Just absolutely bonkers how this is all going to work. And yes, everybody is absolutely right about this. There are potentially issues with the capacity related to this. So if you see right here, look at this right there. My goodness gracious.
It just looks outrageous. I want to go.
This thing looks phenomenal. It looks so good. You're going through there.
382-foot tower.
Yes.
Look at that.
Which is super cool. Look at that right there. Obviously, nothing, brings back quite that allure of Kingda Ka with that, single launch right there that just took you all the way up, well over, I think, 400 feet back in the day. But this is pretty good. This is not bad right here, and especially while you're doing it spinning and with these inversions and so forth. That's pretty cool. My goodness, look at that. You just spiral
Being that
up,
it's too
spinning
floorless, around. Just having your feet dangle like that, just wow.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy feeling going through this section right here. You can see right there, not over the shoulder restraints. You can see Mac utilizing the restraint system, very similar to, it looks like Stardust Racers here. So there
Makes you wonder
go.
about the G forces on that track.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, now I don't think they'll be experiencing quite the same problem that Intamin has, at least with some of their controlled spinning coasters, as provided by, Theme Park Wizard doing a bunch of investigatory work into that specific issue. Apparently, the controlled spin, the centrifugal force actually applying to certain areas of that track for Hollywood Drift, amounting to many more years worth actually of wear and tear there. I don't think they'll be having that specific issue here, but who knows? It is Mac, which, you might see some problems. But hopefully they'll get those things worked out. Wow, absolutely phenomenal right here. So you got to think about the capacity concerns here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles, all holding 4 passengers right there. Is that right? Do I have that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then 4 riders per. So that is obviously 20. And so the hope is that you're able to dispatch this thing. I mean, it's a 1 minute, 30-second journey, roughly. So you're hoping to dispatch maybe every single 3 minutes right there. So if it's 60 minutes, right, divided by 3, that's obviously 20 dispatches. And then multiply that by 20 for the riders, and that takes us to about 400 riders per hour.
Yep,
So
you're right about right. The estimate was around 400 to 500. So Fast and Furious, right, is almost
2,000.
2,000.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be slow loading.
Right, and I will say, for these regional parks, the capacity concerns aren't as high as maybe like your big 2, right? Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal Studios Florida, obviously the Orlando Resort, Epic Universe, Disney World, Disneyland. The capacity requirements aren't quite the same because of the amount of visitors that actually visit this park right here. But 400 even for a regional theme park, that's still not great. That's still not optimum. And we're hoping for maybe dual launch or dual load stations for this in order to help with those capacity concerns. Hopefully they actually implement them and use them on a long-term basis right there. But I'm not even seeing that. Oh, goodness gracious. It's going to be a wait. It's going to be a wait. That's the one thing about this coaster that I'm like, I'm not quite sure about. I would have loved to have seen more throughput. I would have loved to have seen double that number. 800 is pretty good for a regional theme park, actually. 1,200 is phenomenal. Anything above that, you're doing great. But 400, not fantastic right there. Seats on trains are like the Blue Fire at Europa Park, and they added rotating seats the back. Not surprised they have come up with a coaster that has the seats rotating. Yes, indeed. Again, this is free spinning, and this is not a controlled spin like Hollywood Drift, but still, really, really exciting stuff right there. Erica, coming in here again. Mac is really pushing the envelope. Oof! Yeah, I know. Indeed. It looks absolutely phenomenal. Theme Park Wizard, though, worried about that capacity. And let's go ahead and go back to WJB Daily here. Bakunawa looks great, but will have no ride capacity due to shuttle design. Likely with single train and small train capacity. Indeed. I was actually hoping for a dual load system, or a dual load unload station, right? So that you can actually maybe, while one train is on the shuttle, the other train could be preparing, right, to take its place. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, though, and that's really unfortunate right there. Anything more, Disney 55, about Bakunawa?
It just looks awesome.
Okay.
It just looks awesome. I mean, too bad it's in New Jersey. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
hey,
man,
New Jersey's it's a big
Oh.
coaster market. Come on now, that tri-state area, big time stuff right there. You got some of the best coaster parks in the world in Ohio, New Jersey. It's all that in the bag of chips. Come on now. We can't discount them so badly. But yes, it is a little bit disappointing that this is so far away from those of us on the West Coast. Rats. But it should look great. It should be phenomenal, and I can't wait to ride it. Hopefully one day. But certainly we'll be interviewing people who can actually ride it. I think Don Helbig here has a nice little summary here. Six Flags Great Adventure is set to redefine the thrill ride landscape in 2027 with the debut of Bakunawa, the world's tallest, fastest spinning launch coaster inspired by the legendary sea serpent of Philippine mythology. The record-breaking attraction will tower 382 feet above the park, reach speeds of 100 miles per hour, and feature the world's first upside-down launch. Free spinning floorless trains ensuring every ride is unique. Bakunawa will become the signature attraction of the park's reimagined boardwalk area, which is an interesting place to set this coaster, actually. I thought that was very strange. So Libby, and one of the tallest roller coasters on Earth. Would you brave Bakunawa and experience a different ride every time? Very, very cool stuff. Again, very much looking forward to this. Look at that visual. Just fantastic.
It's so
The
cool.
marketing
It's so
material
cool.
doesn't have to do much heavy lifting because it is impressive onto itself.
And King Dakar, that this kind of replaces. It said King Dakar was theoretical capacity was 1,400 riders per hour, but real world was about 600 to 1,000 riders per hour. And then you think about how long that ride was down during the day. That had a very low capacity too.
Yeah, that had a super low capacity, so I understand that, there might be some estimates online about how much throughput I could actually get through. I can tell you right now, it's like the minimum of that. It just simply didn't move that many people through, which was really unfortunate, because they would only utilize one train a lot of times in order to keep wear and tear down for their entire fleet right there, or maybe utilize parts from one train to another. It had problems, it had issues that it was contending with. So I'm hoping that with these new LSMs as devised by Mac, they could maybe keep down some of those maintenance issues and have this run a little bit more consistently than maybe perhaps King Dakar ever could. But still, though, it's it's hard to lose legendary attractions like that. Let's see here. It's not necessarily a new concept for Mac rotating seats, but man, it's not like brand new, but still, though, to have the combination of these elements, it's certainly revolutionary indeed. To heck with MJ from a person who escaped it. We love you, New Jersey fans. There's I don't have any umbrage with them, but I do hear from some of the escapees that they're happy they did escape. So Tom, certainly in that equation right there. Very interesting, very, very cool. Love that. I love getting new coasters, love getting new things right here. What I don't love, though, is when things go wrong. Unfortunately, that's what happened here. In the case of a 100-year-old coaster out there in the UK, this one was crazy. Wild thing here to have happened. 100-year-old roller coaster stops mid-ride, forcing evacuation. Quote, "I was terrified," rider recalls. Let's see right here. This is from People magazine, by the way. Riders were evacuated from the Big Dipper at England's Blackpool Pleasure Beach after the roller coaster unexpectedly came to a stop on July 23rd. A passenger claimed the 103-year-old ride rolled backward and derailed, while videos appeared to show a tilted car and possible damage to the track. The park said all guests were safely deboarded and checked by first aid staff, and that an internal investigation is underway. This was crazy to see because, I think people might be playing it down a little bit here when it comes to like riders evacuated. This was a big time thing. You can see right here, this by Aaron's .009, I do believe, on TikTok. You can see this right here. Look at that. The vertical slats, attaching both ends of these rails for this wooden roller coaster actually sawed in half. I mean, it's absolutely wild that this would actually occur in at all, but certainly with a 103-year-old Woody roller coaster, you would think that it would be maintained a little bit more properly than what we actually see here. And I will say, even on the official POV available for this particular coaster, I wasn't all that impressed with the maintenance that I saw. Now, you would think, and it's certainly the case with many a wooden roller coaster, you do have to occasionally, let's go ahead and get this Big Dipper here played for you guys in order to get you guys a sense of what this coaster is actually like. See right here, very, very old, obviously 103 years old, which is a big deal. But usually when it comes to any of these wooden roller coasters, like I was saying before, you go through a process of regular maintenance and track replacement. Now, obviously, every single park and every single coaster varies. No question about that. But I've heard it said that to properly maintain a great wooden roller coaster, you should be replacing portions of it, maybe even on an annual basis, certainly once every 5 years, once every 10 years, that kind of thing. And you should be checking out individual aspects of this so that you don't have a catastrophic failure. In this particular case right here, I mean, this was certainly not so good. Let's go ahead and get beyond the lift hill and go crest over this roller coaster. Now, you know, a lot of old-fashioned Woodies, they would actually have manual braking systems, which is super interesting. Manual, by that I mean an actual guy with a lever that would actually apply the brakes in certain elements through the coaster run. Crazy stuff. And some coasters actually still operate that way today, which is quite interesting. There's, I think, a couple across the country right there where you have the guy standing in the back actually pulling that lever at certain times. Crazy stuff. You can see right here whereabouts this might have occurred. I've been trying to track down exactly where. It looks like this particular bunny hill and this particular drop is when exactly this occurred. You can see right here, this kind of before this last airtime moment right here. You can see the station building for another coaster right beside it right there. And then it goes back up. So if we actually line that up with the TikTok video itself, it looks like that's where it is. You can see that station building on to the side right there, as we were pointing out before. So not good to actually go through its course and actually have a partial derailment. You can actually see back at the footage right here, there is no curved section or tilted section, right? It basically is just, you know, a series of sweeping drops right here, whereas this is very tilted. So this is why people are saying a partial derailment may have occurred. And well, judging by the damage here, I can kind of see where that allegation is coming from. Oh, and here's the thing too: you can see the tilt on the what is it? The initial rider's perspective or the videographer's perspective, right? Versus the tilt actually applied in, you know, later parts of the coaster right there. That shouldn't be the case. And so, yeah, partial derailment indeed. Let's see right here. Never in my life going on a roller coaster again. The TikTok user captioned the post right there. That's a little extreme, but I can understand, I suppose, that reaction. Another video of the incident shows what looks like broken wooden tracks on the ride. Rihanna Harrison Berry, who was on the ride with her boyfriend, Aiden Coulthard, when the incident occurred, said that they heard a, quote, crunch as the ride ascended an incline. According to SWNS, quote, as we went 3/4 of the way up into the big hill, it just completely smashed backwards really quickly, Harrison Berry, 20, said. Next thing we realized, we were tilted to the left and back carriage was completely to the right. It was real scary. She continued, I was terrified, I'm not going to lie, she claimed. Harrison Berry said parkgoers who were on the ride at the time of the incident were offered a free meal. Hey, there you go. You might be suffering life-altering injuries or could have been part of a catastrophic failure. Get you a free burger. How about that? I'm not sure I'm taking that deal. In a statement about the incident, a spokesperson for the resort confirmed to People, quote, the Big Dipper came to stop on Thursday, July 23rd, around 2 p.m. at a very low point in the ride. Following this, a manual deboarding process took place with guests guided safely by train operators. All riders were checked on by first aid train staff, and no injuries were reported, which is very, very good. Everybody's lucky that nothing actually happened right here. But this is such a crazy, crazy thing. I was like, whoa, holy smokes. Even with a 103-year-old coaster, you don't quite see this. I know, notable wooden roller coasters like, for example, the Voyage at Holiday World, I do believe. They have regular maintenance schedules. I think even on like an annual basis, to try to get that ride maintained right there. Versus this, I don't know if that's necessarily been taking up place right there. Disney 855, what do you think about all this?
Wow, Woody's, they're really tough to maintain. They really, they have to check them every single day, and get down those nails on there. It's real woody. And so that's why that, RMCs, Rocky Mountain Construction, are so big right now, because they can keep a woody like the Colossus and soup it up so you don't have this kind of maintenance. So interesting. Who was it here? Let me just go back here. Captain Magic. He says, this is why you don't ride 100-year-old roller coasters. But they're great if they're maintained. And they're very, very expensive to maintain too.
Yeah, they're super expensive to maintain. So this is very interesting about steel coasters versus woodies, right? Woodies are cheaper to put up, more costly to maintain over the long haul, versus steel coasters, more expensive to put up but cheaper to maintain. That's kind of the difference there, right? Because wooden coasters, they're exposed to the elements in many cases, and because of that, right, they have their own operational conditions, they have their own maintenance schedules that you have to abide by depending on the weather, the region, and all of that. Obviously in the UK it rains quite frequently, which can have quite an effect on a wooden coaster, as could probably be theorized. But some places it snows, some places it gets extremely cold, sometimes you have super large temperature swings, especially between night and day cycles right there. So all of those things you have to factor into your maintenance approach right there. I know that day, Ghost Rider back in the day, it was a pretty rough ride. Now that didn't exclusively have to do with maintenance. Some of that had to do with like earthquake, what is it? It's like a structural integrity process that has to be undergone with certain structures in the Southern California area, and Ghost Rider was a victim of that. I'm talking about Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm right there. And so the rigid structure, which you kind of want a lot of flex out of a wooden coaster, the idea being that the beam that bends doesn't break, but because of its rigidness, it was causing all sorts of problems, and that wasn't addressed properly until the big refurb that actually occurred. Right, I think it was late 2000s, early 2010s. Can't quite remember, and I believe it wasn't GCI, was it? Ooh, Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider knowledge base is breaking down. My goodness gracious. I'll talk to you. I'll look that up for you guys and get the deets on that. But I know Ghost Riders has had problems in the past related to stiffening in some places. Maintenance, certainly a big deal with wooden coasters all across the nation right there. Sometimes they just get so bad they end up being torn down. Who can forget the Son of Beast? Oh boy, what a nightmare. That one started out bad and then only got worse as time went on. That was terrible. And
now Ghost Riders, Ghost Riders the best now. It is the...
Oh yeah.
For a Woody, it is the best, funnest, especially at night. It says Ghost Rider was done 2015, 2016.
I can't believe it was that time period right there. Man, oh man. I remember going on Ghost Rider before, and then like having just the roughest time. It was awful.
Yeah,
and
we said
then
we'd never
going
go
on
on
it
it again.
after the GCI overhaul, which it was Great Coasters International, which is phenomenal. With those Millennium Fire trains that they actually added there, which are so good. After that whole rehabilitation process actually occurred, boy oh boy, is it the best wooden coaster I have ever been on, hands down. I've been on a bunch of them all across this nation. I'll tell you right now, GCI era Ghost Rider with those Millennium Flyers is phenomenal right there.
It is ridiculous. When you end, you're just like that. That cannot be legal. This cannot be legal. It's so
I know.
It's
so crazy. It's
you're just
so
laughing
insane.
the whole time.
It is wild there, and I will say one of the issues with Ghost Rider. Sorry, I know I'm pontificating on this, but hey, you know what? I love this coaster, so I'm going to talk about it. You have this helix section at the end, right? And it feels like the trains are going to run off the track. It really does. Like you are pushed all the way to the side. It is absolutely fun, super phenomenal. But it's kind of got this dizzying effect right there. If you come off of that, you know, with you know, this kind of issue in which, you know, you're trying to retain your balance and all of that. Remember, there's steps. There's like a huge staircase after that. Be careful. There, that's all I'm saying. I have seen people whiff it there. It's not good. But other than that, it's phenomenal. Super cool. You gotta
It's
go.
ridiculous.
There's a reason why. I think Alto Orion put that in his like top 10 out of the 500 something coasters that he's ever ridden. That tells you, by the way, just how remarkable Ghost Rider is. But I love the Woodies.
You don't even know what's up and down. You don't. It's just so fun. It's so fast. It's
Fantastic. It's so good. But I love the Woodies. I love the classics. Love obviously €100 coaster. I'd ride it. But obviously that comes with complications, and some theme park proprietors are better than others at maintaining those classics that we so enjoy. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. Let me see what we got on time right here. Okay, it looks like we're pretty good. I want to go ahead and go into this larger discussion right here before signing off and getting on to Follow the Bradley's fun, amazing production that he's got going on very, very shortly. I'll go ahead and get into this right here. Now, this was a very interesting story because initially this page, and you can see right here the URL, hanging... I don't even know if I can say that word on YouTube. Okay. Hanging Man. Okay. Removed from from Haunted Mansion Stretching Room after years of rumors. Sorry, I was breaking down the URL. That's the original URL from this page. And then they have update the Hanging Man not removed from Mansion. In fact, the scrim is just too dirty to see it. This is by Alice Kennedy right here, July 24th, 2026. The Hanging Man in the Stretching Room of the Haunted Mansion in the Magic Kingdom is in fact still in place according to Disney. Initially, this story suggested that he was removed entirely, and we have talked about in various places like That Park Blaze and Theater PO and everything else that Imagineering has considered before removing this person. We do believe is the ghost host, obviously.
There's no turning back now.
Thank you. Do appreciate that. We have heard that they have thought about removing this. You can see right here, this going back, actually 2021 right here, Disney considering removing the Hanging Man from the Stretching Room scene in, quote, the Haunted Mansion. More details released about Disneyland's updates. Yes, indeed. We first heard about this, I suppose going all the way back to 2021, but certainly after that recent Haunted Mansion update that occurred at Disneyland's version of the Haunted Mansion. Let's see if we can actually scroll down right here to actually get to that portion of this whole article. Let's see right here. Let's see. I had it located. Let's see. Yeah, finally, although there have been no changes yet, Hobbs, that being the part of the production crew, the Imagineering crew that actually worked on the Haunted Mansion in this particular version, actually said this. Hobbs did address the calls to remove the Hanging Man from the Haunted Mansion stretching portrait room. Quote, it's being discussed for sure. It's definitely something worth thinking about. I do believe we had a commentary from Kim Irvine as well, actually saying something very, very similar. So when actually reading this original page saying that this had actually happened, it took the internet by storm. It took a lot of people by surprise right here. In fact, it hadn't been removed. Only, I guess, according to Walt Disney World News Today, saying it's too dirty. Now Blog Mickey actually saying that the lights are fully functioning so that this Hanging Man is fully visible once again. So it might have been a combination of various maintenance factors, including dust perhaps, but also to lighting that wasn't on for this particular scene. And I've been going through the history of this scene to try to, see what I can find from this, and obviously see whether or not, predict whether or not Disney is actually going to get remove this. The Mountain King here had a very interesting X post right here. I was really surprised how well you could actually see the Hanging Man in the Haunted Mansion compared to how impossible it used to be at Phantom Manor when we used to have it. I do believe we have video from that. You can see right here. The Hanging Man scene in Disneyland Paris's version of this attraction, that being Phantom Manor, of course. You can barely see it with this flashing and everything else. Now, obviously, that might not exist that way anymore. But, I mean, it was very, very hidden. Even back then, which was truly remarkable. And now, obviously, you can see this Hanging Man hanging up in the rafters of the Haunted Mansion at Disney World, or Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom. But it's one of these very interesting discussions about, if we're going to treat these as art pieces, do we necessarily have to update them for the common sensibilities of today over and over and over and over and over again? Now, obviously, this does have to do with personal exploration, which obviously is a very serious issue. I don't want to downplay that, and obviously I don't want to be insensitive to that. I just want to go ahead and be aware. However, this is a bit of dark humor, perhaps, and doesn't necessarily suggest, right, self-inflicted harm. I don't know. I never actually took it that way when I was a kid seeing this for the first time. I always thought that, there's always my way meant that he might have taken the guy out himself. That's kind of the way I always took it. But obviously, there is a lore certainly attached to the Haunted Mansion that is very, very dark. And it's really interesting to kind of debate this whole thing about whether or not this should be in there or not. And when it comes to the updating of attractions, I thought this was very, very interesting here. How Disney balances nostalgia and progress at Walt Disney World. This is by Walt Disney World Magic here, by the WW Magic staff. At a recent media panel, Disney World executives explained how their teams reinvest in classic experiences. They use data, creativity, and operational planning to update attractions and resorts for new generations. Walt Disney World now includes over 100 attractions and experiences across 6 different theme parks and water parks. Add in 25 plus resort hotels and more than 29,000 hotel rooms, and you get a sense of the scale involved. Alec Rass, director of Facility Asset Management, said Disney puts hundreds of millions of dollars a year into existing attractions, resorts, and experiences. More than 4,000 cast members carry out this work, including engineers, architects, construction managers, horticulturalists, carpenters, and painters. Quote, our work includes both big projects, like replacing the entire steel track of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and small projects like the simple carpet replacement overnight in a queue space, Alex said. Every detail matters to us when tasked with preserving the quality, care, and attention to detail guests have come to expect from us. I like the sound of this commentary. I'm going to go ahead and put on some B-roll here that, might make my case for me. Let's go ahead and put that on screen right now. I'm sure you know what's coming. Sarah Riles, Vice President of Magic Kingdom, said teams build project schedules years in advance. The goal is to protect the guest experience, hold on to capacity across the resort, and invest where it matters most. Again, let's see what's on screen right now. Resorts face their own challenges. Guests are on site 24 hours a day while work happens. Kelly Blakely, Vice President of Resort Operations, said her team looks for creative ways to limit guest impact. Quote, our resorts are a home away from home for many guests, Kelly said. It is really important to me that our guests know that they are going to get those comforts of home when they come and experience our resorts. That thinking led to face closures during Pop Center refurbishment. So only one part of the resort was unavailable at a time. And I do believe we're going to be seeing the Kidani Village, actually, lobby, go down for refurbishment for a period of time as well. Rock and Roller Coasters Muppets Makeover used a similar approach. Teams closed the pre-show first for the bigger technical changes, and then the ride itself. Total downtime came to just about 3 months, which, if you look at the quality of that overhaul, I could believe it. See right here. Hey, look at that. Look at that classic attraction right there being so generously enhanced by this Imagineering team. Fantastic. The Cinderella Castle transformation is another example. Sarah said most of the work happened overnight, with high reaches and lifts coming down by noon each day, so guests in the Castle Hub or on Main Street USA still got a clear view. Disney PhotoPass team also built a new AI model that removes cranes from morning photos. Interesting. I didn't actually know that. Some Disney fans push back against the change, especially when an attraction or resort is tied to a childhood memory. Michael Hudgent, portfolio executive creative producer for Walt Disney Imagineering, said his team is aware of that. Quote, we try to be incredibly aware and thoughtful of that when we make changes, Michael said. Oh, are you now? Are you very, very thoughtful? Mindful of that? Okay. Well, again, Exhibit A, the treasure scene in the caverns of Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland. Why on earth would you touch that in this way? See, they say the right things, right? They make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Oh, yes, indeed. You're taking our thoughts into consideration right here, our memories into consideration. And then they do stuff like this. Maybe that's why they had a media summit to try to, rehab their image related to this so closely after a classic piece of art like Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland was so unceremoniously ruined in its update. Perhaps that is the case. Maybe Muppet Vision 3D, maybe some other things, Carousel of Progress, perhaps. He explained that every reinvestment project has to balance nostalgia with modern appeal. I guess keeping the spirit of an attraction or resort intact while making it relevant for new families. Again, the spirit of an attraction, Exhibit A. What's in keeping with the spirit of this, with this oaf who apparently dies over and over again, by picking this coin up and going, ooh. It's like, guys, just listen. There used to be an expression, don't, go number one on my shoe and tell me it's raining. Goodness gracious. Sarah said research drives these calls. Quote, we use data, guest research, and feedback to really help inform where we choose to reinvest versus it is when it's time to reconcept, she said. Okay. Well, I will go ahead and paraphrase Capture the Magic, what he said last night when I brought this up very, very briefly. Looks like that process is broken. When you consider what happened with Rivers of America, when you consider what's happening to Carousel of Progress right now, Splash Mountain, Tiana's Bay Adventure, right? Now Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland. It's like, data, guest research, feedback. Hey, guess what? You can go ahead and hire all those teams to accrue that data for you. I could have told you out front, don't touch it. Don't break what isn't... don't break what isn't broken. In the form of Splash Mountain going over to Tiana's Bay Adventure. Or maybe Pirates of the Caribbean. Anybody could have told you that this was a bad move, that you weren't going to see the ROI that you maybe expected or forecast, that the people behind that project maybe not qualified, especially to take on a project like Splash Mountain. Whatever process that you're using to do stuff like that, you gotta go ahead and get rid of it. Anybody could have told you that Rivers of America had larger implications for Magic Kingdom than just the ROI aspect of it. That there are things that you simply can't account for. That there are things that are going to be on that periphery that don't show up in a survey and don't show up in a guest satisfaction report card. How do you rate something like Rivers of America? You really can't, right? Because everybody who's going to go on it is going to say, it's a little boring. Maybe we need to add some things. But can you measure the impact it makes when walking out of Liberty Square and seeing that Rivers of America for the first time? Can you measure that? Does that show up on a report card? Can you come up with a way of, through numerical value or otherwise, survey properly the effect something that Rivers of America has on people walking around Frontierland? I don't think you can. I don't think you can model that out. I don't think you can study or survey for it. It's a feeling, it's a vibe, it's an emotion. Imagineers used to talk about this endlessly in books, panels, and so forth. It wasn't just about the guest survey connected to one experience like the Liberty Bell. It was about holistically what you felt and what you took away from a theme park experience. Something that is immeasurable. So, guest research, data, feedback, it's nonsense. This is not the way you go about your investments. This is not the way you go about whether or not to reconceptualize something like Splash Mountain, Carousel of Progress, Muppet Vision. Take your pick. This is the way they're doing it. And we have seen the results on display over these last 5 years. Can we expect more? Probably. But now we know what might be driving some of these things. Disneyland 55, go ahead. What do you have to say?
Well, they're saying that they're listening to the guests, but it doesn't feel like it. Josh Diamara would go into the parks. We saw him ourselves. We took pictures with him. He listens to the guests. He listens to the guests, what they want. But they don't listen to him if they're not going to do what the guests are saying. And a lot of these things, these decisions are made without the guests because the guests don't know. You go to D23 and you hear about, there's going to be a new Cars plan. Everyone's all excited the next day. Oh, yeah, we're losing Rivers of America to make room for the Cars. Well, now I'm not happy. You didn't ask us. And it doesn't matter how big of a cry there is saying, don't destroy Splash Mountain. Don't destroy Rivers of America. Their decision has already been made. It doesn't matter what happens. And they couldn't destroy Splash Mountain fast enough. They couldn't just do one and see how it worked, how people liked it, leave one in Disneyland, one in, at least leave one Splash Mountain over there in Disneyland and mess up the one over there or vice versa in Walt Disney World. But no, they had to do them both at the same time, quickly, while the Imagineers were all out on 2-year vacations, basically researching this project. Researching. Yeah. They were on vacation for 2 years.
Researching New Orleans. It's like, really, guys?
Right.
You're going to research New Orleans for 2 years when New Orleans Square has existed for 60?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you're doing over there. Research, not just partying on Mardi Gras or whatever.
Right.
Okay. We want
21
the redhead,
Royale with cheese. We want the redhead.
I know. I don't know if this process involved removing the redhead like they've established here, as pointed out by WW Magic, but not sure. Know that when we touch a classic like Carousel of Progress, our Imagineers take the utmost care in thinking about how we approach that, Michael said. The team on this project is phenomenal. They care a lot about the legacy of the attraction and plan on infusing some great new optimism into it for future generations to enjoy. You know, I actually heard some similar commentary attached to Splash Mountain. Oh, we know the implications of what we're doing. Oh, we know this has a tremendous legacy. We know this has a tremendous history. We have to go ahead and be, treat this with kid gloves kind of thing. We have to create something that is obviously, relevant, current for the modern generation, but lives up to the legacy of Splash Mountain. I heard a lot of those quotes from various members of the team. Certainly Trita Carter and others. And what was the result? I mean, you basically spray painted over the Mona Lisa. Called it art. It's basically what happened. So, I'm sorry, but I can't take your word for it. You might say all the right things as crafted by either AI or some focus group or some consultancy firm or whatever. That's not going to be enough to placate fans. Especially when it comes to what they've lost. Do I have to read you that list again? Of all the things that have been lost at Disneyland, at Walt Disney World over the last 10 years. Great movie ride. Maelstrom. It's Tough to Be a Bug. Mobile Vision 3D. Carousel of Progress. Maybe even Space Mountain now. Just go on. It's going to take more than just some kind words. You're going to have to show up with the work. And frankly, it hasn't been great. Even the Muppet redo of Rock and Roller Coaster. I mean, there's some good stuff in there. If it works. That's the other thing, too. That pre-show that they were going on and on about, you'd be lucky to see Scooter actually move and not on a TV screen. But that's besides the point. Even with something like that, you look at the actual coaster itself. Oh, yeah, down 3 months? Yeah. To put up some more painted flats or some alternative painted flats?
Paint that's chipping, paint that's peeling.
Right.
They didn't even prime it right. And Tiana's is now literally being held together by duct tape. They just moved it from horizontal to vertical. That's the fix.
Remember what they said too. Imagineers take the utmost care. That's a direct quote. Does it feel like it? Doesn't feel like it to me. Especially with what you're seeing on screen. And why I'm playing it over and over and over again. To really get the point home that they really don't care. Not really. There's a job to a lot of them, unfortunately. You used to have fans. Bruce Gordon, even Tom Fitzgerald, Tony Baxter, right? Some guys who were very much a fan of this art form, of theme parks, otherwise.
Well, you
I
knew
don't
there was
know
going
how
to be a
many of them are
problem.
fans.
Sorry.
Okay.
You knew there was going to be a problem when Tony Baxter left the project.
Oh, you talk about
For
Splash Mountain.
Tiana's.
It's Tiana's, yeah.
So
Remember,
he
he
was-
was attached to that very
Yeah, he
publicly,
was
too.
attached.
Initially, it was like, hey, Tony Baxter's on board. We're good to go. I can tell you right now, these are third-hand conversations, but hearing third-hand, I can tell you right now, Tony Baxter was not impressed. Okay? And frankly, he was like, I don't want to be anywhere near this thing. And that was way early on. Like Disney Fantasy 5 brought out, you knew you were in trouble when that guy, talking about one of his most remarkable attractions that he ever left us in the form of Splash Mountain, and Bruce Gordon, and Frank Wells, and everybody else attached to it. When that guy says, ooh, you go ahead and you keep that. That's a bad day. Not good. Not good. Don't like that right there. Is there a possibility this could affect Avatar, Rapids Reels Studios? I know you retracted this, but I think it is kind of a good question right there. This seems to be attached primarily to the Imagineering crew that has been tasked specifically in maintaining current attractions, right? Or maybe even reconceptualizing them in the form of like Canterbury Jamboree, Carousel of Progress, that kind of thing. These kind of smaller things. So I think those more ambitious projects, let's say, are handled by a different team that may have a different set of tools available to them to determine whether or not they go forward with something or not. But I will say, I mean, on that point, I think you bring up a very good point. When you look at the appeal of Avatar, right? It's like, okay, monetarily, ROI, what are we going to get out of doing an Avatar project currently? Well, obviously, it's not the coolest property in the world. It's not the hottest, not the coolest. Okay, so I think there is appeal, broad appeal, international appeal, etc. However, it is cooling rapidly, and you got to look at how much merch are we actually going to sell on something like Avatar, or how much food product are we actually going to sell on Avatar, versus, I mean, the tremendous success that maybe something like Zootopia has had. You look at the merchandise there. You look at how many people actually dress up as Judy Hopps. You look at how many things that they actually move in Shanghai, and Disney goes on and on about Shanghai even to this day, talking about how a certain percentage of the individuals actually going to Shanghai are going for that specific purpose to see that specific IP. You think, what kind of data are we using there to determine that whole thing? It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting question. I don't quite know, but I guess we'll see when D23 comes around. Rush to the theme thanks to 2020 events. Indeed, that is certainly the case. Jake demo, for sure. Not good time. Indeed. Fittingly, I'm still dressed as a pirate in ACNH as our panelists are discussing the pirate ride at Disney. Hey, that's pretty cool right there. Perfect stuff, indeed. I wanted to go ahead and include that, though. I think that was really, really interesting. Wait, did they just say that they used AI to remove cranes from past photos? Yes. Yes, indeed, they said that. That was really interesting. Maybe that's an additional discussion we can have, Jared, on the next theme parking. Again, that's every single Tuesday at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern, or thereabouts right there. Certainly, we're going to have another show tomorrow, actually. That being Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern right there. That's going to be a whole lot of fun, talking about so much that I wasn't able to get to today. Like, for example, let's see right here. Tiana tries again. Oh, yes, this live action project that apparently is in development right now. Oh, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Let's see how well that does. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait for more Tiana stuff. That's just what the world needed. More Tiana. It's fantastic. Untrainable Dragon has a refurb right now. We'll talk about the state of that specific offering at Epic Universe because it hasn't been in the best state possible. I'm really hoping that they actually shore up some of the issues relating to that show with that refurb, but we'll talk about that as well. We have a trash can controversy. Oh boy, we didn't get into it fully. I know we talked about trash cans a lot in the show, but apparently we got to talk about them again because people are having a hard time with these solar-powered trash cans in ways that I didn't think was possible. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, pre-show fatigue. Are people really entranced by pre-shows as much as they were before? One post by Coaster K24 suggests otherwise, which is, I think, very, very interesting and worthy of discussion. Also, too, we have umbrellas actually being stationed at Animal Kingdom in a particular amphitheater that I think has a lot of people talking, a lot of people chatting about the future of that specific venue. We have Disneyland Paris with its Snow White refurbishment and how, I don't know. Some of these things, they are a little bit creepy that they've added right there. We'll talk about that more. And also, too, Tom Fitzgerald's 47-year history, specifically talking about his retirement that just recently occurred and what implications that might have for this current state of Disney and that long, infamous feud between Tom Fitzgerald and Tony Baxter. Very, very cool stuff indeed. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more tomorrow, actually, at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, which is going to be very, very cool. By the way, DisneyFan55, you can find her social medias actually in the description of this video right now. Oh, do I have your X account down there? I don't know if I do.
Disney Fan 55?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yes, but I thought we had a link for you. Let me see if I can actually pull it up right now and give everybody the link to your X account because you think it's just Disney Fan 55. And of course it is. But it actually doesn't have every single character there. So let's go ahead and put that in the chat. Boom! Right there. You go ahead and use the link down below right there, and make sure, by the way, all of you new Skywatchers out there, thanks to what is it? Let's see, Just Dutchy and Dude Man Cuz. I want to get that right. You have the distinct pleasure of joining us, that being Vash and Vixen, every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern for our show right there. If you want to go ahead and submit your pet of the week for that show, you can go and do so at vixensky007@gmail.com. It's going to be this one right here. And I do believe that just concludes our show. Awesome stuff. Let's go ahead and get the music pumping right there. We got to go on over to Ron for Follow Bradley's Fun because he's got a great show with The Dish talking about Spider-Man, I do believe. That's going to be a whole lot of fun right there. Big box office being reported for this thing. Does it take over Doomsday? I'm sure there will be more of those questions and far more featured on The Dish. Let's go ahead and go over there right now. To everyone out there, remember, the sky is the limit.